know you gotta pack up your tent and ride. Pack up your tent and ride. Good grub cooking on a fire tonight. Pack up your tent and ride.
Hi, I'm Fraser Douglas, and I've been an avid tent camper now for over 55 years. In this video, I want to tell you how we make navy bean stew. It's a great tasting and filling meal that you can easily make in your campsite in less than an hour. But before I start cooking the meal, I just want to say that over the last 8 years I've been making camping videos. Several people have asked me to make more cooking videos, but I find them extremely difficult to make because my mind works slow, and once the food starts cooking, you've got to think fast to keep the fire going, to cook the meal, and a lot of times I kind of forget to get the good photographs and get the content in that I'd like to get in. But I've come up with a new system for doing things, and I hope that this video will be better. I hope you like it. Now, let's talk about how we make navy bean stew. This soup first gained public attention around 1900 when the cafeteria in the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C. began serving it every day. Soon after, it became known as Senate soup. Later, it became known as ham hock soup, but when I first heard about it, it was called navy bean soup, and that seems to be the most popular name today. But you could also call it navy bean stew if you used a little less liquid. Like many other soups and stews, it became very popular with military leaders and poor farm families because it was an easy way to prepare a great tasting and filling meal for a large number of people at a very low cost. The main ingredients are some type of pork meat and some type of white bean. Let me elaborate. Traditionally, the recipe used a smoked ham hock as the meat, but this ham hock makes a very large amount of soup, and grocery stores don't always have them in stock. Furthermore, campers may not have the space in their cooler to pack such a large piece of meat, and may not want to spend the 3 to 5 hours required to cook this ham hock. Personally, we prefer meals that require less than an hour to prepare, both in a campsite and at home. And so we use some other type of meat. In the past, we've used deli sliced ham, pork chops, and bacon, but today we're going to be using country ham. The second main ingredient was dried navy beans, but you could also use dried Great Northern beans. But dried white beans require several hours of soaking plus 3 hours of cooking in order to get tender enough to enjoy. And we don't want to spend that amount of time preparing a meal, either in our campsite or in our home kitchen. So we started using canned navy beans or Great Northern beans, and we are very, very satisfied with the result. In addition to the main ingredients of a soup or stew, you'll also need to add a sufficient amount of fresh vegetables to enhance the flavor. Fresh vegetables taste so much better than canned vegetables. For soups and stews, I always start by sautéing onions, bell pepper, and garlic. When preparing a recipe for 4 people, we typically use 1 whole medium-sized Vidalia onion. But if you're using some other type of onion that's much stronger than the sweet onions, then you may want to cut back on the amount of onion. For most soups and stews, I use a green bell pepper just because it's more economical and the taste is about the same. However, for this navy bean soup, we're going to be using an orange bell pepper because that color seems to enhance the soup's appearance. Incidentally, I've been told that bell peppers with 4 lobes on the bottom taste better than those with 3 lobes on the bottom. Don't know if that's true or not. In addition to the onions and bell pepper, we'll also saute 2 medium-sized cloves of garlic. In addition, we'll add celery, corn, and carrots to this navy bean stew. We'll chop 2 stalks of celery into small pieces, cut the corn off of the ear, and scrape the carrot and then grate it so that the juice from the carrot will also help to enhance the orange color of the soup. In other soups, I frequently add tomatoes, potatoes, okra, turnips, and lima beans. The next ingredient is your liquid. Traditionally, this was the water that was left after boiling the ham hock and the dried navy beans for about 3 hours. But when cooking small family meals, many cooks prefer to use homemade chicken, beef, or ham broth. And if homemade broth is not available, they'll use cartons or cans of commercial broth purchased from a store. But a chicken bouillon cube and some water is very easy to pack for a camping trip and tastes great to us. Most cooks will add 4 to 6 cups of water to make a soup, but I'll only add 2 cups of water, and so it's probably best called a stew. Before concluding this section, let me mention a few other ingredients that we also use to make this navy bean stew. We'll use about a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter to fry our meat, and another tablespoon of olive oil and butter to saute our vegetables. We'll use a little bit of crushed red pepper and black pepper to season to taste. We usually add salt to our soups, but since we're going to be using country ham to make this navy bean stew, we'll wait until the very end to decide whether or not to add any more salt. And when we serve the soup, we'll top it with a little bit of grated cheese or sour cream. Now let me briefly describe the procedure that we follow to make this navy bean stew. The first step is to start your fire and let the coals build up for around 30 minutes before you start cooking. We'll be cooking this stew on my woody folding wood stove and a Camp Chef Dutch oven table. But you could easily cook it on a pedestal grill or on a campfire ring with a good cooking grate. And if it doesn't have a good cooking grate, you can buy a folding grate on the internet. Second, you'll need to find a wood or bamboo cutting board and a good sharp camp kitchen knife. To learn more about good camp kitchen knives, please visit the Camp Kitchen Knife page on my website and watch some of my previous YouTube videos on this topic. Third, if you're using country ham, you'll need to rinse it 4 or 5 times before you fry it. For this recipe, we used a half a pound of country ham, and we rinsed each piece 4 times before we started frying them. Fourth, fry the meat in the stew pot and save the fond. This fond is the juices and particles stuck to the bottom of the pot after frying. When you deglaze it with water, it turns into wonderful flavor. Next time, I'll cut the country ham into smaller bite-sized pieces before frying them. Number 5, chop and saute your onions for about 2 minutes, then add chopped bell pepper for about 2 minutes, and then add your garlic for about 15 seconds. You don't want to let that garlic burn.
He looks yummy.
Huh?
He looks yummy.
Number 6, thoroughly rinse your beans 2 or 3 times before adding them to the pot. Number 7, combine your country ham, your vegetables, and your beans with about 2 cups of water and 1 chicken bouillon cube. Number 8, bring your stew to a boil and simmer for about 30 minutes. Number 9 and 10, while your stew is cooking, chop your celery, grate your carrots, and cut your corn, and add crushed red pepper and black pepper to taste. Here is the chopped celery.
Okay,
ready?
Oh, please, wait. You can do any stage.
Okay. I can increase the heat of my stove by moving the flaming pieces of wood toward the center, or decrease the heat by moving the flaming pieces of wood out to the outside edges. After tasting the stew, we decided not to add any more salt. All right, now, video that. After your stew is finished, you may want to add a little grated cheese or sour cream. And then you may want to add some crackers, some garlic toast, or cornbread to complement the meal. Although this recipe differs considerably from the original Senate bean soup recipe, it offers a great tasting and nutritious meal for 4 people that you can make in less than 1 hour. And it only costs about $5 per person. For more information about campfire cooking, please visit my website, moderntentcamping.com. A link is provided in the description below. And while you're there, check out my Amazon store page where you can find some links to some great camping products.
Take more trips, travel further, visit more attractions, and spend less money. Go tent camping. Thanks for watching.
Stop the video.